All right, hello, everyone. Welcome to the October edition of the Athens in Motion Commission meeting. And we exist to help implement the bike and pedestrian master plan. So I'll share my screen, which has our agenda. And I'm going to do roll call next. Lauren, present. Art.
Here.
Teresa, Randy, Alan, great, and Ed is out, Wayne is sick, and Gabriella is also sick. And then staff, we've got Daniel here. Tina's not here, Todd is here,
Katie just walked in.
and Katie just walked in. And we also have Derek Mason. Yes, make sure I get Derek's name right. All right. Before we go with the approval for our agenda, any public comment on our agenda today? Anyone signed up?
Nope. Oh, I'm sorry, no virtual ones.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes, all right. Welcome, please state your name and I guess address and 3 minutes for you. And I know we've had you here before, right?
You remember.
Okay, your time starts. Yeah, hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Austin. I'm here with Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement. And I received my goal assignment as Community Outreach Coordinator. So I'm just basically here to gather information as it relates to transit as well as opt-ins for the ADA community. Availability and inclusionary practices. Being myself one that is disabled, I have a physical disability that you may or may not be aware of. So every disability is not with a cane or walker, but making sure that the decisions moving forward that are made and again, to include those in the ADA community specifically as they relate. I get the bikes, I get all that other stuff, but I don't want to be trampled with a car and a bike hitting me at the same time when in them. God forbid if that happens, but it's good to know and get spaces to understand where I fit in and basically keep that area of expertise open-minded to what changes and policies that move forward. And what's going on right now. So.
Good.
Welcome. Good to have you for our meeting. Yeah, so feel free to listen. We're not making any big decisions today or any votes like that, but you'll get a feel for, again, you've been here before, like how we do things. And hi, Ronnie.
May I ask a question?
Well, let's just get the public comments. That needs to get through. Any other public comment? No one online.
I think the only thing closer to a public comment is there was a question about the vacant position. I was able to contact the mayor's office and the Athens and the vacancy will be posted. There's an amended list now. There should be, and it will be posted soon. So there was some turnover with Gene Spratlin leaving. There was a few things that fell in the gaps there when all that happened.
And I have, I did throw in some notes on that during chair's notes.
Excellent.
Thanks. Okay, so moving on to our agenda. This is a little bit different than what I originally sent out because as Daniel just said, we just got our vacant position posted. I'll talk about that. And then we also have Derek Mason here to talk about the pavement management program. Glad to have you here, Derek. So we'll talk about that. Plan revision stuff, capital projects, I think all the same. And yeah, so those were just some minor changes from the original agenda I sent out. Any other tweaks or adjustments we need to make to our agenda? I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda for the October meeting.
Ooh.
Okay, first from Art, second from Teresa. All those in favor? Aye. All right, it carries. I'm gonna help, since Blaine's not here, I'm gonna be trying to make sure that I say loud who said what and approve what. You know, so it's quite clear. We do have our minutes from the September meeting. Thank you for passing those along. So you're feeling well. And so I have them up on the screen now. Make it clear for us. And talk a little bit about Barber Street. We can maybe ask staff where we are with that during the staff updates. Already shared your chat with Dr. Silk and Silk from the University of Georgia. I'm still hoping we can eventually get him in here maybe early next year to talk about the dismount zones, et cetera. But maybe it'll be early next year when they have more data. And we had Jason running the show last time, and he did a great job. Did fantastic.
Make sure it's included on this PMP performance.
So we appreciate Jason stepping in since Daniel was away at a conference.
I'm just kidding. He's the one that gives me the performance reviews.
Yeah. So any adjustments to our meetings from September? Right.
Sorry, would I be able to answer?
Actually, it's just for
Okay.
commissioners. Yeah, thank you. All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve our minutes from September.
I move to approve.
All right, first from Randy, can I get a
I'll second.
second from Alan?
We can all play.
There you go.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Moving on. So I've got a couple of notes here. We do have a vacancy on our commission. The deadline to apply is Friday, November 7th. I have linked to the official ACC Gov webpage on it. And so the position is for a partial term expiring July 31st, 2028. So this is because Julie had to step back because she moved. And the mayor and commission is tentatively scheduled to interview applicants on Thursday, November 20th. And generally you have to be able to make that day. And that's the day for interviews or state in the application. You can't make that day. And the appointments will be scheduled to be made at the mayor and commission meeting on Tuesday, December 2nd. The other thing I will say is that we on the Athens and Motion Commission have no control who ends up on the Athens and Motion Commission. So I don't know how, if it does anyone any good to try and lobby us or be mad if we don't get on here. It's only a mayor and commission endeavor. And I think sometimes they check in with staff, but we don't have any say, but we hope that interested folks will apply to join us and that they can make our Tuesday afternoon meetings and help with tabling and participate in things like our plan revision process. So, yeah. And maybe there will be a $25 stipend to be determined at the November 4th meeting. Cannot promise that. Next item for notes is I wanted to come back to discussion about our annual meeting, November meeting. So the reason why we talk about this every year is because it often falls on the week of Thanksgiving. And I think last time we talked, some of us thought like that might be a good time. I know we're missing some folks here today, but I wanted to come back to that and figure out for whom could Tuesday, November 25th work and who will not be here.
I won't be here.
You won't be here, you won't be here. You guys will be here. Okay, you'll be here.
I'll be here, but I'm not positive about the week before that.
About the week before
I
Thanksgiving.
think I get back from a trip the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
And I won't be here that week.
Okay, cool. Okay. So I wasn't sure if that was gonna be an alternate date. But
So, it was a little tricky because we're now missing so many people and I can't remember what everyone said. And you guys are pretty reliable attendees, so I'm a little bit worried.
You want to suggest December 2nd?
Well, December 2nd is also a mayor commission voting meeting. What about December 9th? Y'all have your calendars in front of you? I don't know if that would work for staff. There might be like a Greenway meeting or something. I don't know.
Me, who it would be. Be good for me.
Yeah, it's empty on my schedule.
Yeah. So, well, this is all the information I have, so. Let's see, can I guess, as a chair, I can make a motion to move our meeting minutes, or move our meeting, right?
We don't need to, right? It's just a scheduling thing.
Okay, it's just
I
scheduling.
don't think we need to vote. If you want to, you can, to cover the base, but we don't. I mean, as long as it is, provided
Mhm.
with enough notice to the public, which is like a week in advance, that's really the only requirement.
Okay. All right, so, I'm gonna go ahead and say we're going to move, so we won't meet in November at all, and there's nothing that y'all, as far as you know, Daniel, there's nothing that y'all will need input from us on.
Ronnie? So there may be, are we gonna need a vote from Athens in motion regarding EMP or anything before then? Because we may have to do like a special call meeting in a couple weeks if so, but
Typically on the PMP program, what we get from you, if you see something you want to make recommendations on, then you can make recommendations. It would be nice to say that we've gotten your feedback. It's really not an Athens in Motion project.
Right.
Your feedback, we look to receive, and it's always been helpful for the pavement program in identifying roads that may qualify for roadway diet. For further consideration, if it's beyond roadway diet policy, if something else need to be done. Enhancements of existing facility, things like that. So we felt like it's always been received well at the commission level and by the public, and we love to hear your side and your comments. That's really it. I don't think it's.
no meeting will be needed, so.
Okay,
If it was more noted as a chair providing a collective kind of response to it without an official vote, we can note it.
okay,
Whatever you give us, we'll take. And if a meeting didn't happen because of the holidays and so on, before we award a contract, then let it be. It is what it is.
okay. Yeah, so to put things in perspective, we're going to, if we don't, the next time we meet, there will have been 2 voting meetings of the mayor and commission. So anything that we have to say, that we want to vote on together, we would need to do today. Otherwise, as Ronnie said, it would just come as like kind of an informal letter. You all okay with that?
There's nothing major coming up, is there?
No, I don't think so. I think any stuff that we would, I don't even think there's a vote on that would be like in next year.
Is there anything T-Splosh coming before the mayor and commission yet this year?
Yes, they're in public comment period right now.
Okay, but they're not voting. They won't vote.
That will be at their December meeting.
So would we want to have something, a statement for the December meeting?
Yeah, we had talked about that. We did talk about that. Let's, where's a good place to talk about that? Hmm. finalized December 2nd. I think that's right. I know it's supposed to be like early December.
That's right, be December.
Mhm.
December. Buffalo. So this is basically the way in on the priority list for T-Splost.
Mhm. Mhm.
But with an ad hoc. Because I do think we need to weigh in.
At least, yeah, we had talked about at least saying like, these are projects that are part of the plan. Just to let them know where we are with it. Yeah, how about this? Do y'all want me to, I can draft up the letter, which I talked about doing before, that says, here's the projects that are in the Athens in Motion, the current version of the Athens in Motion plan, that are on your T-Splosh list. And I could say where they are prioritization wise. Or Daniel, didn't you have to give something like that to the folks, to MNC before their retreat or something?
Gave them an update of I think it was an update of all the or no, it was an analysis of all of the Athens in Motion. Or is it an analysis of all the proposed projects and how it relates to Athens in Motion? Yes.
Okay.
So I basically looked at every proposed project, both by like committees and nonprofits and residents. So every proposed project.
Every proposed project.
Yeah, I went through every single one and identified where it falls in the prioritization between Athens in Motion bike and Athens in Motion pedestrian tiering, as well as any ongoing current projects that are underway or funded. And basically, and then the Greenway plan as well. So if there's any overlap between any of those things, just to kind of provide context about that project.
Okay, so they've seen some version of this before, but not from us as a body. Yeah. Okay. Let me,
Is that helpful for me to send to y'all or?
maybe it would be, if you have that handy, that would be good for us to know, what communication the commission has had.
I assume this might be the last gasp of us trying to get some that weren't on the suggested list reconsidered.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can make this letter pretty simple and say like, here's what currently in the final list that is on the plan. Here's how many projects are left in the plan. Or something like that.
But in terms of this list that they're going to receive, they add up to the total amount of funding, or do they exceed the total amount of funding?
At this point, it's the total amount of funding.
So that's the list.
Allocated to the T-Splosh committee.
Yeah, but that's, so all of those could be accepted.
Yeah, I think, so the committee had 60 million to work with. And the commission can continue to like, they can go outside that 60 million. They could resurrect projects from the dead and they could pull from their pre-designation buckets if they want. They can do whatever they want. So that there's still a possibility that things get moved around or some seed money for a project gets thrown in, something like that.
Well, I guess Randy or Daniel or anybody else, I mean, are there any obvious big ones that got missed that are of great interest to us?
Yes, there's a lot.
Well, okay. Okay, all of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, none
okay,
of, we,
so with this,
nothing from the,
We didn't get much.
no,
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna move us on, but I'm going to throw together this letter. Thank you, Alan, for bringing us back to that, because we will be meeting after they vote on their list. And maybe y'all check your email for that. I'm gonna try and get that together as quickly as I can because I will be out of town.
So I know as a citizen, I'm going to speak to the mayor and commission about projects that were not included on that list and would encourage other citizens listening to make their opinions known.
Right. Yeah, I know there's some, Friends of the Greenway has a petition out to get some Greenway funding. So there's none. All right, so we went over a little bit. Derek, are you ready to present or should we come back to you?
Sent Daniel the map
Okay.
and list, which should be the attachment one that went with the mayor commission agenda item. Just going to share some details about, does it also have the map? Daniel?
Yes.
Okay. There we go.
This is the resurfacing one?
Yeah, the resurfacing. And I'm just going to walk through the map so y'all can get it. Y'all can go into more detail on the list, but
Just a second. Let's share so that it's available.
on the resurfacing map, which is rehabilitation and resurfacing, we're proposing to perform work on 139 roadway segments, totaling about 38.14 lane miles of roadway, with an estimated cost of about $6.7 million. The list, like I said, was 139 roadway segments. We have, that list follows this map, an area we've gone through grouping based on PCI and the lowest rated, of course, through our segment criteria that Mayor Commission approved. And this was our list put together with the GIS data and PCI ratings. The second list and second map, which is preventative maintenance, and I'll just walk through this. Daniel can scroll through the presentation to show the list as well as the map. I guess go to the map, and let's go through the maps first so y'all understand what there are. And if y'all want to look at details about specific lists, the preventative maintenance list.
Patch.
Yes,
Okay.
that is it, which is patch only. 220 roadway segments totaling approximately 53.9 lane miles of roadway at an estimated cost of 2.2. The majority of this work is performed on arterial and collector roads due to their rating. This is patch only, and there are a couple of local roads that are on that as well, as I remember. We have post resurfacing crack sealing that we do every 4 to 5 years. That is included in those lists as well. And so that's patch only and post resurfacing crack seal, 2 different applications. On to bid alternate number 1. This was rehabilitation resurfacing.
This is the crack seal.
Yes, I'm sorry. It was separated, but in my agenda, it was combined. My apologies.
It's okay.
2 different maps, but combined in my agenda item.
Just to give some context, I think that the crack seal is when you see the tar.
It's every 4 years. So whatever we paid 4 years ago, we do crack seal on the 5th year.
And that's basically the tar squiggles that you see on the road. Patch only is usually a section of pavement. It's a higher cost per square foot, but because you're not doing the entire roadway, it is more cost effective for corridor.
Patching at depth. In other words, you're dealing with structural issues in the road, potholes that have expanded, cracking, that kind of stuff. Yes.
So you're not as likely to be able to get something like a lane redo, or you can't really change the striping because there's still the old striping and the sections that weren't patched.
Correct. And we do strategically patch, but looking at what your patch size is, a lot of times some of that winds up being full lane width to tie joint to joint and not have a future issue in maintenance. I will back up your post resurfacing, your resurfacing for local roads. That does include patching chip seal, and resurfacing. So, and a milling operation. So that is a more in-depth operation to resurface our local roads than specifically for the patch only and the post-resurfacing crack seal.
So then resurfacing is the total overhaul? Or is that just?
The resurfacing, it includes patching and chip seal, milling the existing roadway in some situations, and or overlaying the roadway with 1.5 inches of asphalt.
Okay.
Yes.
Is College Station under your jurisdiction or is that GDOT?
It is.
It's under you.
Yeah.
And it is highlighted in the group that would receive patch only.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, last summer, I bring it up because last summer there was a lot of kind of lanes for, several blocks or something that were redone, but they paved over the many areas where there's no bike lane marker left. It's just pavement. They didn't restripe the bike lane.
That where we did our repatching.
And it still hasn't been restriped? It still
What's the
hasn't.
location on that?
And basically, College Station from East Campus to Barnett Shoals.
I just driven it today and I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's.
They put the car dotted, the separator, but they didn't put the
Not
bike
the
lane.
solid lane. Yeah.
You're just there with just a wide lane.
Is that something we patched this year?
It was done over the summer.
We'll confirm. Okay, if that is the case, my understanding is pavement management staff are currently working to confirm that all areas that were patched are restriped. So they're
Yeah.
going through that process right now on the 25 program.
Okay,
We've completed all resurfacing and patching. So it's now utility adjustments for manholes and water valves and striping
okay,
to remain.
good.
Yes,
Do you contract this out or is it done in-house?
it is contracted out.
So if a contractor's work is substandard, do you want to know about it?
If the contractor's work is substandard, yes, I definitely want to know about it. We keep an eye on it. We have an inspector there if they're performing work of any type. There are situations where we may have multiple operations as they move through. The inspector's here, the work's getting started, and he's moving from one to the other. That situation sometimes occurs.
Good to know.
Sometimes failures also happen after work is
Yep.
done, so we have warranty for a year. Please let us know if you see anything that you think it's not right, it should be better. Let us know, shoot us an email, send us a picture, location,
Yeah, picture, location, exactly.
anything,
Get helpful.
at minimum.
Yeah, just to let y'all know, after we complete our work, once we give them substantial completion, we give 30 days for final. We'll give them a correction list on what we see on there, all the work that was performed. They have that 30 days from substantial to final to address that. And then from final completion, we have a 1-year warranty from that day. So anything that we see or anything that comes up, it could be, now I will back up and say that if this is a damage, if a utility, for example, caused damage to their asphalt, that warranty will not cover that damage. But if it's their work, then yes, we can hold them to it.
Yeah, and the last thing is, not every time you see fresh pavement in Athens is it repaving. Sometimes public utilities has done it, such as on Baxter Street. So there may be cases where you call to say, hey, this is not done well, and it may not be our department that did that, so.
Yeah, a lot of that's going to be us cross-referencing
Yeah.
where your work, where you're reporting with what project. And then if we know that PUD is doing work in that area, or we're avoiding working where PUD has contracts going on, then we convey that over to PUD.
And it's still good to report though.
Now, yeah, we are the keepers and the maintainers of all roadways in Athens, with the exception of anything GDOT. Even on GDOT, see something, report it to us. We will make sure it gets done by us or by GDOT, or by the developer or by our contractors. So just let us know, anyone doing work in the right of way is supposed to come up with it. We only have a handful of inspectors, land development inspectors, so yeah, we can't be at 100+ job sites. So if you see something, let us know, and we will address it as soon as we can.
Okay. We do communicate in compiling this list. It's not just the critical data from a PCI standpoint and the area of the county map. It is location, PCI, work in the area, we talk with land development, we talk with public utilities, and we try our best to vet our list to avoid areas where they're already working, for example, a sewer upgrade, a water upgrade,
Big development or something.
or a development. Now, a lot of times that's where we get caught. We have a list of roads and a developer starts a building and is permitted after we do that. It didn't come out in our coordination. Then we pull that road and put it at the bottom of the list and see if they complete their work before we finish ours. We'll come back and address it. If not, it goes to the next year's list to be one of the first.
Can you remind us what PCI stands for?
I was gonna ask,
Payment condition index.
Okay, yeah,
It's a score.
right, yes, we'll talk about that.
Yep, 0 to 100.
Okay.
40 is our threshold, 40 and less is our threshold for local roads. I'm sorry, for
Yes,
arterials.
for local roads is 40 and less.
Oh, yes.
For collector, it's 48 and less, and for arterial, it's 55 and less.
I think maybe I had a few more questions. I wanted to let you finish.
I have one more, and it's bid alternate one. After we looked at all of the arterials and collectors in Athens, one of the lowest rated based on individual segments, and after we looked at the average, we put together a bid alternate to do resurfacing rehabilitation on Epps Parkway. We did some preemptive patching in 2025's PMP on Epps Bridge, and that should allow us to walk into this one if Mayor and Commission so decide to resurface it. But this is approximately, in our agenda, it says 19 segments. After going back and vetting inside the data, our GIS data had one segment listed as USSR 316. I don't know why, but in correcting it, there are 20 segments. All of the measurements were included in our estimate, so all the pricing is correct with the lane miles. It's just the fact that the number of segments was incorrect.
Gotcha.
But this will be resurfacing, and it falls in the same line. You'll do patching, milling, any required patching in areas where after you take 1.5 inches off, you've got some deterioration. But we expect the subsurface of this, since it was built and constructed by GDOT, to bridge, and we'll just do 1.5 inches overlay and restrike. That's the plan.
And bid alternative one, just to clear this up, there is no bid alternative two. It's just one bid alternative. And what this allows us is to be able to award the base bid without the bid alternative in case prices come up to be too high, because we don't want to have to rebid again. That's another 60 days of sit and wait, and a lot of work on staff. So this is, we've done this before on bid alternatives. We do expect to have enough money to pave this. Last piece to this, we've shared this information with Daniel and the transportation planning team, and initial thoughts specifically for Epps Parkway was reconfiguration in terms of reducing the lane width. Currently, it's at 12 feet. For all lanes, as you know, Epps Parkway is a 4-lane boulevard separated with turn lanes and decel lanes, often at many intersections. Not so many driveways. It has currently a 5 and 4.5 foot bike lane. So the intent is to see how much can we give in terms of a buffer between the existing bicycles or the bicycle lane and the traveling vehicles, the travel lanes. So far we did not see support to do like much more reduction in lane numbers. So the lane numbers will remain, but the idea is to increase the bicycle safety on this from a buffer. Is it painted? Is it more than just painted? And how much is it? And looking at the posted speed and what's recommended by AASHTO. So currently we staff are working on this. We just want to let you know, but we would love to hear your thoughts as well on this matter. No other streets have been brought to our attention. So upon your review of this list, by next time we meet or through a memo or an email you send us, if you see something else that you want to implement a policy on, or even additional markings on an existing road, just let us know through your communication and we will note those recommendations as a chair, through a vote to elected officials in the near future upon agenda approval for, I don't think it would happen for the list, but it would happen at the time when we take the agenda back, hopefully to award the contract.
Just one other quick question, if I could. That you mentioned putting 1.5 inches onto an existing surface. What happens when it gets, when the curb gets?
We do on our roadways that have curb, we do curb mills. So we'll curb the edge and tie it back in. If the
Okay.
existing pavement, if our curb line has already been paved over, which is a lot of the cases, we try to take it back down and tie it back into the curb if possible without causing driveway transition issues, people scrubbing, trying to get in and out of driveways. A lot of factors go into what you do in that case, but.
Well, one example that I'm very familiar with is Agriculture Drive. It's basically solid. There's no curb at all for a good portion of that.
I'd like to comment on those streets. Unfortunately, a lot of the older roads in Athens, inside the city of Athens, and sometimes you find them in the old county limits outside the city of Athens limits back in the day, they were constructed directly on red clay. And red clay, when it receives water, it's like a sponge. It increases in volume and pushes the asphalt up. Then when it dries, it stays up unless there's enough traffic on it. So I don't want to say Ag Drive is one of those cases. It could very well be. And then because of how much traffic we have on Ag Drive today compared to back in the 1800s, as we know, UGA has been that long, right? It's been around, and the Ag School is probably one of the oldest buildings. And therefore, assuming this road was a dirt road and was paved, I don't think there was rock back then. They just paved right above clay, on clay, and here we are. So Ag Drive, yes, I hear you. We've looked at Ag Drive before, and that was maybe 9 years ago. And I believe the conclusion was to reestablish this curb reveal on Ag Drive specifically. A full depth reconstruction will need to happen. And unfortunately, we have a lot of these roads.
Yeah.
And unless we get enough funding to address, and unless there is an actual problem that we need to fix, with the speeds on Ag Drive, I'm not very concerned. You know, I am concerned that the sidewalk is only 5 feet and there's no vertical. But again, I don't want to say it is safe, but I want to say it is on the, if I have to say, maybe top 10 locations where I can think of a sidewalk that I would rather see that separation, vertical and horizontal separation. Yeah. It's one of those. I live nearby and I use that sidewalk a lot. So I know. I've felt the mirror of a bus.
Yeah.
Right next to me. I know what you're saying.
I will
and I
add,
can relate.
I will add a little bit to that. Our treatment selected for any individual road is based on information that we can have readily available. And sometimes if we don't have it readily available, we're looking at something like FDR, we would want to come and do some cores, confirm what's there, because there's extenuating circumstances that change the criteria and selection of the treatment you're going to do. Depth of utility, age of utility, existing other utilities and facilities within the right of way that are too shallow. Those are the bigger things, because when you come in and do FDR and even mill and inlay and we start vibing, we cause water leaks. We may break water mains. We may break water services. We can hit telephone lines. I mean, anything that's in the ground becomes viable. So each one of those is, I want to say, looked at individually, but as a group when we look at it.
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into it.
Thank you.
We don't see just driving or walking or biking. So Daniel has this pulled up. Daniel, you want to?
This was just the existing cross section of what's out there on Epps Bridge for that bid alternate project. So Ronnie, we don't have like a final staff recommendation I can show.
You can show you a preliminary kind of sketch, and it's all good. This is not what we are approving or contemplating at this point.
Okay, yeah.
So So, just to show, this is what is out there and this, and this is the proposed alternate. I'm not saying we're gonna paint them green, but I just mark it as like
Sure.
to
It's
show.
much better because
It's 6 foot versus 5, 2 foot where possible for the buffer. And then we had the planning office had the recommendation of 10-foot inner lane and 11-foot outer lane. That's based on conversations with transit. That could also reverse. Transit prefers the 11-foot lanes to be on the outer side. They also said 10.5 would work fine for transit vehicles. Emergency vehicles, we're anticipating they're gonna say the left lane would be better to have at 11, and they probably won't be okay with like 10.5. So there's still a lot of conversations to have. This is kind of just that first pass. Ultimately, the recommendations based on speed and everything, within the new updated like NACTO and ASHTO bike lane guidelines, have 2 foot as the minimum recommendation for a buffer. And 6 foot is the recommended standard width of a bike lane, especially. It just gives you a little, with the increase in cargo bikes and bulkier, like the trailers that go on the back to carry your kid and stuff like that. The 5-foot lanes are really hard to just navigate that. I also want to add in that this is not including in this graphic, they don't have an option to show curb. So there is also a full curb and gutter alongside the bike lanes. So this is not including a curb and gutter within that 6 feet.
Thanks.
So, I mean, is there understanding like this is just an idea, this has not been fully fleshed out, this is not set in stone? I mean, we can write something up, or we could probably just say informally, like, we support the direction y'all are heading, looking into potentially bringing this road up to these guidelines and standards with, some kind of buffer. Like, is that useful to just say that now? Do we need to? Or would you like, is it still?
Sure, if that's what you guys feel like and you're happy with this and say we support this, and given that staff go back and make sure it is consistent with current standards. We don't want to put you on the spot to say, oh, this meets the standards and we vote for it. You can just say, we like this, this is the vision that we see, and
How do y'all feel about it?
I know a lot of people that are cyclists that are off the Uxbridge corridor and they don't use that bike lane because it's too dangerous, and these are cyclists. And the cyclists I do see often are using the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I use the bike lane, but
I think this is really.
Yeah, it doesn't fully get to like, I think the long-term vision for what the Athens emission plan would prescribe per the speeds, but what it does is it gets us closer there. So, just giving a little more space, widening, and it, calms traffic by.
there's a lot of
the
walk across from the apartment complexes all through that area, so closing down the speed a little bit would be good for those people.
But would there be a way without increasing the cost too much, that 2-foot buffer to have some sort of like a feedback for someone in a car? Like those little white
Zipper.
lines you have on the road when you're coming to a stop sign?
And I'm not gonna propose this to you guys.
Yeah.
Or propose it in this meeting, but with all transparency, we're talking about anything and everything we have seen on roadways. As you drive in Oconee County approaching approaching Uxbridge Parkway from 316, there is that right turn lane that takes you onto the ramp.
Right.
And if you remember, drive there's these.
They're type 10 turtle shells, RPMs.
And then there's the
They're-
flex posts.
Yeah.
We know the flex post for whoever is maintaining them is a nightmare
It's
to
a
maintain,
nightmare.
right? And the other ones also nightmare to maintain and a maintenance.
Their safety
risk.
as well.
Because when you go back to replace them, you have staff in the roadway, and we all know not everybody goes 45 there. They're racing cars.
Nobody goes 45 there.
Um,
That's another issue.
Same.
And this is a 45-mile-per-hour roadway posted speed, and until everyone slows down, we can't change the speed. You know the system, we have to study the area and document that everybody is going less than 45, and then we can post it to a lower speed. That's just the law that we function under with posted speed limits. That being said, we're not against something being proposed. We are contemplating those ideas at the moment. It is,
So
if
when
it's your opinion to provide that as a recommendation, or if you have a product or something that you would like to propose, we welcome that. We still have to vet it through our traffic engineer.
Sure.
And then the director has to make that final recommendation to elected officials in the agenda to say, you know, the department, based on these feedbacks we got from you guys, this commission and others and subject matter experts, were making this recommendation.
As thing just, you know, thinking off the top of my head, if you had, you know, if that paint was just raised that much, it'd still get some feedback. It's like
So you're talking about transverse rumble strips
essentially.
painted versus gouged in.
Yeah.
You do have indentation rumble strips that you utilize in a 2-foot, or 2-foot and 4-foot shoulder along. Biggest, easiest one is 365, which has the wide indentation rumble strips. They're a little different than the ground ones that they're doing along the center line and edge line on state routes now. But you do have that availability. And the other thing I want to point out is through this type of procurement, by doing it as a bid alternate, if we're still working through the process and have found that we need to make changes or adjustments, Mayor Commission can still award the base bid, excluding the bid alternate, and we could come back because it was included and add that back with our changes at some future date as a change order if possible. But if we don't include it, we have to stay under that 200,000 or 20% of the overall bid as a change order. And this would be close or over that if it was added as a change.
I think on Morton Road, whoever did the crack filling apparently was paid by the gallon. Because some of those, when you're driving down through there, you can feel that the crack fills. If you're riding a bicycle, it's like going over a speed bump. But the cracks are good. No doubt about that. They did a good job on that part.
The reality is we pay that by the pound and it's normally by square yard. So we pay a flat for what we pay.
Sure.
I feel better. It feels like we're getting our money's worth of what
There you go. Hit on that road.
As long as we don't have any deformation in the roadway. So we're
all right, I'm gonna kind of start to wrap this up here, but I think we like what we see. We like the horizontals, we like the lane narrowing, and we don't have to be specific about numbers. We don't have to play engineer there or anything like that. We know that y'all are gonna try and work on that if possible. We like the horizontal separation. We'd love a potential, if there was money for some kind of vertical barrier or some kind of sound sort of thing. Again, we're not gonna play engineer on that. We're just gonna let, you know, that seems like that would work according to the up-to-date guidelines. Profession. We'd love to see the next better version of Epps Bridge Parkway that is more safety minded. And we like the direction it's headed. That
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Of course, you have an example on hand you guys have seen and recommended approval for. It was built a few years back, Lumpkin Street. We've been enhanced bike facility there with
Maybe
additional
Chris.
markings.
Lumpkin, when we repaved Lumpkin, we restriped it.
From Broad.
Wider lanes from Broad down to, it was almost the 5 points. It was like Rutherford.
Yes.
yes.
And we got 2-stage turn queue boxes,
Another road name.
Yeah, okay, yes.
buffered areas where there previously weren't.
Yeah, there's some nice green on the.
Yes,
Give me a second to-
thing that you did there, you're not doing here. I don't think there's an opportunity for mid-block crosswalk. We added an RFB island.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Yeah, and essentially though, what we would likely do is, that's kind of, I showed y'all like the generalized concept of the corridor. We would need an engineer design firm to design the actual striping layout and include any modifications to intersections. So the big thing here to note is it's paint and asphalt. It's not concrete. unless there was an instance where we wanted to add in mid-block, but I can't
think of a
Request
place
for
when the
anything.
speed is gonna be in an edge, like
Yeah.
a signal
Yeah.
system.
Challenge to get
The-
curves, so.
The other thing that historically, when there is additional enhancement, paint, design services, bicycle programs have funded those. We have not, I haven't talked to Steven to see is the direction we're going? Are we gonna be seeking funding from bike ped programs? Which I know all projects are running short on the already allocated funding. We're like trying to find a dollar here and a dollar there, so I think it could be done by the department as a recommendation. You can do it yourself. You can say, we love this, we want to fund it from our bucket of funding. It's up to you. I'm not setting this up for you guys to make a decision on, but if that's what you feel you want to do, you're more than welcome to do so. That's your bucket of funding, pretty much what, as they say, and you can make that recommendation, or you can say, we would love for the pavement management program to take care of this. And which the pavement management program is not necessarily set up to enhance. However, it's a gray area and we're gonna seek some guidance from manager's office on this. We as a department don't necessarily make the decision on this matter.
Just at a glance though, on the 2-foot buffer on either side and the change in striping, I'm assuming if they went through the design and looked at that, you're gonna look at black boxes. Am I right with that, Daniel?
There's not really.
At the intermediate signalized,
Bike boxes are kind of being phased out now.
okay, so we just be looking at bike lanes.
We would be assessing from the standpoint of like, what is, whatever the engineering firm that we go with would recommend. It would probably be Tool, that's who's done the striping in the past, and they're the ones who wrote the ASHTO updates. I thought bike boxes for sure, and then we were working on a project and I brought up bike boxes and they're like, well, we're actually kind of phasing those out. So
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it would be replaced with, but yeah, they're finding that those aren't necessarily the fix-all solution.
Well, from my point, just looking at what you gave as a corridor and looking at bike symbols, the arrows, the 2-foot buffers on each side, not including the bike box, you're excess of $500,000 just in cost of striping difference. And that's just a wag from my standpoint. We haven't done any details and we don't have a permanent design to look at to confirm measurements, but that's a good number at a start just to add those minimal additions.
Yeah, if we were to do something like you are mentioning with vertical protections within that 2-foot buffer, that's something that could be a recommendation of out of the bike ped funds, we recommend exploring vertical. I think the main thing for this would be making sure that whatever buffer we do delineate with paint or thermo is an appropriate width for getting as many options for a vertical protection. So if the stripes don't, as long as the stripes don't have to be redone when we put in a vertical barrier.
Right, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
keep it, I mean, I guess, y'all keep us in the loop on that and like whether there's additional money. My hope is that this could come from pavement maintenance, because there's already bike lanes. And I know we're talking about enhancing the bike lanes, but you know, I'm not really we're not exactly the keepers of the purse. We got a lot of money allocated, so, but excited to see, like, this is
Yeah.
exactly why we have a complete streets policy. And I love that we're not just considering putting what was there before and looking how to make it better and bring it up to date. So thank you all for your work going forward on that. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. I'm gonna move this on. We're definitely kind of behind our meeting right now. But that's okay. Maybe we might have to just take some from regular staff updates. I really do. I'm gonna bring this up because there's some notes here that Daniel has on Barber Street.
Yes, I can run through this. It's not that intensive, but I want to leave time for questions. This It's a recommendation in the agenda item that's moving forward. I believe the vote is December 2nd. So it'll be a November, December cycle. Approve the proposed preliminary plans. They are currently preliminary engineering at 60%. Usually we do 85. For this one, the commission defined option asked us to do 60%. So we have preliminary engineering for the whole corridor from segment 1 through 4, which is from Chase Street to Prince. And that is
Yeah, and I can bring it up.
yeah, I have it. I just want so that's approved the preliminary plans and right-of-way plans for segments 1 and 2. And then approve the proposed new project concepts for segments 3 and 4. We are working out some issues with 3 and 4 from a design standpoint. So those are proposed new project concepts. And then authorize staff to advance preliminary plans for segments 1 and 2 to final design, right-of-way acquisition, and bid phase, which that's the next phase in all of this, right before bid phases, right before construction. So that would be the segments from North Chase Street to Oneida. Those are segments 1 and 2. Those are really straightforward. The utility issues are pretty straightforward. We can go ahead and move forward with construction on that. Then the next bullet point says authorize staff to advance proposed new project concepts for segments 3 and 4 to the preliminary design phase. So basically getting that to, I believe it's 85%. So it's keeping it in preliminary design. The shortest way to explain it is y'all may be aware that there are utility poles within the buffer strip sometimes between the road and the sidewalk. That is a grandfathered in situation. Utility companies are no longer allowing utility poles in that strip, which means they have to be on the outside of the sidewalk, or no closer than an X distance based on the speed of the road. So a higher speed roadway has them further back. There's a whole table for it. All of the utilities that go through here, the ones on, for instance, on the left side of the screen, since we're not doing any changes, those are grandfathered in, those would stay there. All the ones on the right side, they will not be able to be moved in once we narrow the road to make room for the active transportation area. They can't be moved in. So we have 4 or 5 options, I believe, of what we can do to deal with that. Ultimately, those options range from leaving them in place and like splitting the path to go around them, all the way up to burying utilities, which would be, I believe, minimum $10 million for the corridor. That's on top, that's just utility. And that's just from the power company, not from.
And so we have to do it and they're not gonna pay for it.
That is also still being discussed. So there's a whole conversation about prior rights.
Yeah.
I haven't been updated on any changes to that, but there's a separate conversation going on about prior rights and who would be required to pay for that. So ultimately though, because of the complications there, segments 1 and 2, pretty straightforward, move on to construction. 3 and 4, continue in the preliminary engineering phase. And then the last little bit there at the bottom of the staff recommendation is on segment 3, there was a provision within the commission defined option to fill in sidewalk gaps on the western side of the road, which originally the project concept did not do anything on the west. Since our original exploration of this project, a whole development has come up. There's now basically from Bouvet all the way up. It used to not have sidewalks at all. Now with that new development at Tracy Street, there are sidewalks there. So there was a provision to ask us to fill in a sidewalk gap in front of a home up ahead, and then right here. We'll start with this one actually. Okay, yeah. Go up right in front of that home. You can see there's a sidewalk gap. So that doesn't really need to be part of this whole capital project. So what we're doing is we've got an on-call engineer designing the sidewalks for this gap. And another one that is up in front of Bouvet. And those will likely get funded through sidewalk gap program, which is another name for the same bucket of money because we have kind of the overarching bike ped funds and different percentage breakdowns in each one. So that gap would get designed and built hopefully with in-house staff. This gap would probably need a contractor to build. It's a little more complicated. You see the grade separation, the driveway alignments. There's a lot more rebuilding curb. It's kind of just consistent curb cut. It would formalize entrances into this facility, or not facility, but businesses. So it'd be a continuation of the sidewalk from there, and it would end basically at the railroad right of way. And have a mid-block crosswalk to go across over towards Habitat. And the next phase of the future project, along with some other developments. So this project has gotten very complicated. There's a railroad crossing project aspect to this, which is why, another reason why that segment is being delayed, or not delayed, but kept in design phase. It's pretty complicated, but along with that design, we'll have sidewalks that cross the railroad. They need to approve it, make sure all the gates are to standard and appropriate for their newest updates. I believe, don't have planning, but I believe there is a private development happening on that corner lot that would build sidewalk basically from the railroad right of way to Nakuchi. Is that Nakuchi or is it Nantahala? Might be Nakuchi. Okay.
When you say they,
No, you're right, it's Nantahala.
Okay.
The other one.
So that private developer would be required to build sidewalks here. I don't know that this is, I don't know what the plan is. I just remember hearing something about that. And if this were developed, then they would be required to rebuild the sidewalk or to build sidewalks. So we're not filling in that gap. So basically up to the railroad right away for one gap, down to where the sidewalk stops, and then in front of that house. Those two are going to be designed by a in-house on-call consultant and paid for out of the sidewalk gap budget, not the Barber Street project.
So y'all understand what's happening here with Barber Street? Yeah, okay, so the short version is 4 segments. Segment 4 starts closer to the top of Barber Street by Prince. And segments 4 and 3 are the most complicated because they have all the utilities there and includes the rail. Segments 1 and 2, which get into the floral industrial area, are less complicated, and so staff is not going to let the complexities of the first half of the project slow down this next section, because this section is good, pretty much good to go. So we're definitely gonna get something here. And just exactly what Daniel said, there's opportunities still like along segment 3 to fill in some sidewalk gaps. So that's still right at segment 2. So that is coming, but work for those, thank you, segment 3. Work on the side that is around Boulevard is ongoing as we try and figure it out and figure out whose responsibility it is to pay for varying utilities. And I hope that you all will prevail because I'm kind of tired of having like bike projects have to take on our entire infrastructure needs.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't mean bike, I mean bike, sidewalk, safety stuff is suddenly like, oh, we have to fix all the problems.
Yeah.
Get the money for that.
Yeah, and like the short version of that is that there's already a lot of space committed to cars within the right of way, within our existing roadways. To be clear, like if there were a street widening project, that they would also have to deal with taking care of stormwater issues, utility issues, all of that. But because we have such a disconnected and fragmented sidewalk network as well as bike network, we end up bearing a lot of the brunt and the costs there because the roads don't need to be widened for another 20 or 30 or 40 years, we're pretty good on capacity for cars, but, when expanding the network, those smaller projects, and you know, if you have a $30 million project to widen a roadway, it's a smaller percentage, you know, to really like accommodate stormwater and like a smaller percentage of the budget, because there is so much engineering going into it. And they are required, when that happens, to upgrade the sidewalks. You see that at the interchange, you know, they're building in both interchanges, Atlanta Highway and Lexington Road, have multi-use paths that are being constructed. The Atlanta Highway one kind of fluctuates between a 5-foot multi-use path. You know, they make sure they don't call it a multi-use path. It's 5 feet to 7 feet to 10 feet in some locations. And I think it's called an enhanced sidewalk or something in the plans, but they are accommodating it when it didn't add too much to their budget. But these things end up they end up being some of the more costly things because property rights, right of ways, the ways that these roads have been built in the past. And it ends up being a lot to bear the brunt of the cost. So
this is another reason why our pavement management program is so important to like jump on an existing project and try and upgrade facilities there.
Well, can I get some clarification about the recommendation that we're about to make or not make?
Yeah, and this is a staff recommendation that we have.
Do you want our recommendation?
yeah.
I mean, the question is, we did discuss this in our last meeting, and I guess it seemed like there were two versions, like do the quick and dirty to sort of solve the problem, but not really to get up to print, I guess, on that segment, or just not, you know, or put more work into it. I mean, I guess that if I'm remembering correctly, there was some concern about, I don't even remember what the proposal was, but it was like not very good all the way around, and we felt not like that wasn't a good proposal.
It had to do with Sharrow.
Sharrows, I knew that there was a word for, not heard before, so it's
Not acceptable.
what?
3 and 4 was not acceptable.
Yeah,
And so, but the way that it's phrased in here, by approving the proposed preliminary plans and right-of-way plans for segments 1 and 2, and then authorizing staff to advance the preliminary plans for segments 1 and 2 to final design, right-of-way acquisition, and bid phase. What that means is, as we have it designed, segments 1 and 2, move towards closer to completion. The alternatives mentioned for segments 3 and 4 are still, there's no recommended alternatives that are being approved here. We're not saying this will be Sharrows, this will be this. We're basically saying there's more work to do in this preliminary engineering phase. We're keeping it in the preliminary engineering phase. And I will double check that to make sure there's no attachments at the bottom that specifically outline a recommendation, but I'm pretty certain that it's saying approve the proposed new project concepts for segments 3 and 4. Okay, so let me see that is referencing. Do you know off the top of your head, Ronnie, the new project concept was?
I wouldn't want to, at least double check it. I have an idea, but I haven't looked at it.
basically, at
Okay.
least remember, I think we want to avoid approving something that is not really a solution, and then everybody writes it off as
Yeah, we
done.
just didn't want to share.
Yeah.
It was.
There's a lot of history on this agenda. Okay. Okay, the updated estimate costs, proposed project concept SP7. Not shown in this attachment.
So we don't have.
I'm gonna have to dig, okay.
Based on my understanding, it is sharrows for 3 and 4. That's pretty much what it's saying. It's just restriping, signage, and paint on the road, station. For 3 and 4, for now, it's till more funding shows up and then maybe more you can do. But with available funding, with this action, Mayor and Commission would be creating a project concept or a sub-project to the program. That would be brought back to Mayor and Commission for preliminary engineering approval and construction, meaning paint on the road. But again, you're like,
Thank you.
I take this with a grain of salt. That's my understanding based on my meeting. Now, there might be a drawing associated with this. I don't have access to it.
Yeah. That was our basic understanding at the last meeting, that it would be that, which,
I guess that it just seemed too much like it could be considered done at that point and then move on to something else, but maybe
Here's
well,
what they do
that's
say.
gonna happen.
The updated cost estimated cost for the proposed project concept is 16,300,000. Which we don't have. So within the amount that is already allocated for segments 1 and 2, segment 1 will be 3 to 5 million in construction costs. And segments 2 is between 2 and 3.7, 2.2 to 3.7. There are only 4 parcels affected in that segment 2. And one of them is owned by ACC Gov. Segment 1, we have 0 parcels that are impacted. So that's why those 2 are so simple. Within segment 3, we have 25 parcels. 1 is owned by ACC Gov, and then segment 4 has 19 parcels. And so,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, it says here, as such, staff is proposing a new proposed project concept that includes an interim solution of sharrows, shared roadway with signing and markings, and traffic calming. So, key there is interim. But yeah, that's kind of, I guess, what it is. Fine.
but we still have to bury the utilities.
No,
Why is it?
we're not recommending burying utilities.
I have to, okay, I guess. I think we're all kind of getting like maybe a little disappointed, let down, morale is low with this project. Because we brought it forward to 2 different commissions. It's still one of our starter pack projects, and I swear every time we look at this project, the cost has doubled, and I don't think that's a hyperbole either. I feel like every time we look at it, it's doubled. And so I'm trying to figure out what we can do or how we can still live up to the whole point of an Athens in Motion plan with this project. And also, I don't want us to like get in the weeds of play engineer, because I just feel like, why is just one segment of this project where we're not burying the utilities and we have 4 lanes to work with between $3 and $5 million? And I know that's kind of like an engineering question, and I'm just like,
I guess there are utility impacts there, maybe. I don't know. I mean, for segment 1, which is we are using the existing roadway, we're doing a road diet.
They're minor and manageable. They're
But
not.
the cost is 3.1 to 5 million. Just for that one segment.
For construction.
That's, yeah, for construction. So I'm not sure why, I mean, yeah, I guess if there are cost saving things that can be done, but I mean, if they have that as the estimate, then that's the estimate.
Yeah.
Are they burying the utilities on segment 1 and 2?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
We're coordinating aerial, as I remember it, on the intersection.
Yeah,
It would be great to hear from the project manager.
But basically, this creates a major gap, and because it doesn't, I mean, and it, won't connect with Prince and downtown.
well, you can also think of it as it retains a major gap. There is multi-use path out at Newton Bridge Road right now, today, where West Clarke's development came in, built a multi-use path, that dead ends at Dairy Pack Road. My based on all of our conversations, our staff recommendation, from my office at least, was that it is much better to get the bike infrastructure, instead of stopping here, getting it to stop closer to where the neighborhoods are, where the road starts calming down naturally. Now, realistically, to address what you were kind of asking, this doesn't get marked down as like segments 3 and 4 aren't completed in the Athens in Motion plan. The Athens in Motion plan will continue to say, this is the safe recommendation that we would like to do. It depending on the revisions to the prioritization matrix, it will likely, it could change, but it will likely stay just as high based on all the criteria. So this will remain most likely a tier 1 project, with the scope being from, it'll be from Oneida to Prince Avenue, instead of, previously the project scope was from Chase Street to Boulevard. And then there was a separate project from Boulevard to Hancock. And ultimately we split that project into 2 because it makes more sense to have Prince Avenue as the ending point. Over time, it has escalated in costs. I mean, that is very much due to the increased construction costs that we're seeing. If you think about all of the funding that has been invested in infrastructure, it's not like there's double the amount of firms designing and double the amount of construction companies building. Like, you've got the same amount of companies doing a lot of extra work, so they're able to increase their cost. Derek could give you actually a much better breakdown as to why the costs are increasing.
I'll give you a housing market. I mean, and I don't want to talk about Athens because it's very stable, but outside of Athens, homes were 100,000 today than 300,000. Just the scale of the economy, it changed. And of course, when we put these projects together at cost estimates, we were anticipating 3% increase a year. So we used 2 years ago cost estimate, add a little bit more fluff to it, and presented that. And the world went just crazy in terms of cost. Everything went up in price. There was a time where things could have been done cheaper, in the first 2019, 2020, but reality, nobody was ready to put everything to bid. And also there was a lot of funding from the federal government. Some projects were shovel ready and they went to construction, and contractors who are available, they put work into it. And with the pandemic, it was tough. I mean, we had paving program lasted 2 years. Usually it's done 6 months. When one employee is diagnosed, then the whole team could not show up to work.
Is there any opportunity to consider one Wayne Barber at some, to go through these last segments? And then, I mean, that would
Face value, give you my kind of quick response is probably you won't see support for that. The data will not support it, but this is not based on a study I've done. It's just face value, just what I'm seeing. Is there a political appetite? There might be. I'm not aware of that.
We have discussed every option, to all the way up to putting goalpost wrappers on utility poles that are adjacent to the path, so that if you do hit a utility pole that is like inset on the path, then at least you have like a padded thing. I reached out to APBP, the Association of Pedestrian and Bike Professionals, to ask them, hey, here's our situation. Ultimately, I mean, the recommendation from staff is essentially that. And it's okay for the AIM Commission to disagree and
Completely okay.
and
I feel
like,
like,
have a different voice.
it's understandable.
Well, yeah,
We
because,
respect your opinion. It was a tough decision for us to what we want to recommend.
and we're certainly not blaming
Right.
you guys. I mean,
We
all know what it is. It's a challenge. Everything you've explained. For me, one of the big concerns is that,
Recommendation, and we can say, well, we respect your recommendation, but we don't agree with this.
Right. Because we're gonna have not another, but in this particular case, you're gonna have a project that goes nowhere coming up Barber Street, and then no one's gonna use it, and then people are gonna say, see, we spent all that money, nobody uses it,
Yeah,
because there's no place to go.
I mean, it's really rough. There's no infrastructure. There's a gap that exists between, where Oneida ends and getting out to Dairy Pack. I think that is certainly useful. It's just, and I know y'all have to hear people's feelings all the time, but I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
we're in our feelings about this because we know, like, the Boulevard Neighborhood Association, they were very excited about the Barber Street project. I get people asking me all the time, where are we with Barber? Where are we with Barber? We have the neighborhood support. And it just, it's devastating because if we have to come back to this as another phase, if we have to come back to Barber Street, like these sections as another phase, I feel like we're gonna go through these arguments, or I don't mean to say arguments, but we're gonna have to have these discussions with property owners all over again. And it's probably gonna be a different set of property owners who are trying to get their heads around it. And we're gonna have like staff having to go out door to door and leave door hangers all over again, saying like, hey, it's coming, heads up. And it's just, I don't know, I don't feel like we're getting anywhere.
Well, with that sort of neighborhood buy-in, wouldn't it be, politically easier to propose something like a one-way? I mean, I just, that's the sort of thing, it's the people who live there that would most not want to have a one-way. But if they're in agreement, they'll deal with that. If there's a good way to get back, then.
What one-way pair would you create?
Well, that's their job. I have no
Yeah, I
idea.
can't
But-
visualize.
It would be Pulaski.
Yeah, okay, so
I'll give you a bigger picture on what you said, and looking at the grouping, what Ronnie was talking earlier, y'all start looking at cost estimates. Give you an example, last couple of years, GDOT's seen 20% increase in baseline pricing. That's the average. Now, with that being said, put into geographic space in Athens, look at how much GDOT operating work is happening, 316, the bridge, 10 loop, resurfacing, plus now we have our own, plus you have developments. You're gonna have an issue, and we're gonna have it on a future project within the next year or the next 2 years when it comes to supply and demand impact based on pricing and availability to deliver that product. Concrete, asphalt, all of this stuff is going to become more profitable, which means your price goes up because they have so much they already have to cover contractually. And we literally only have 3 asphalt plants that can hit Athens, if that puts it in perspective.
I'm starting a construction business.
Heck, yeah.
I'd rather be an engineer for the money, just say it.
The quarry eventually, I believe, closing down.
Well, and that becomes problematic
Gonna
for
definitely
aggregate.
affect.
Once that stops use, you'll be hauling from Jefferson or another area to get aggregate to Athens to build your product.
So
That'll hurt you.
maybe good news, if you haven't heard. Quarry will continue to operate as long as there is mutual understanding between the owner, which is Athens-Clarke County, and the quarry business and the owners of the quarry. There is royalties coming back to Athens because of their business. For every ton is sold, there is more rock to be excavated. So as long as business is profitable, I believe the two will continue to work. I don't think they're closing it down soon, but there's also plans to fill the reservoir with raw water, so that's great. And it may happen while the rock's still being processed and sold at the quarry. So there are 2 sites where the big hole is, and they're gonna dig some more in that hole, and then they're gonna maybe open another one. But again, it's a quarry at this point, and there's no closure in sight of the quarry itself. It could happen tomorrow if they decide to. Again, this is a business decision. We'll hear from the mayor on something like this.
There's a good bit of stockpile and overburden there, so they'd have a good bit of haul out before.
So we got 5 more
Process
years for
stops.
good prices for rock and Athens.
All right, so I'm gonna focus, I know this is not,
Yeah.
this project is not happening as fast as we want, and everyone's doing the best that they can.
Agreed.
Giving the context of what we have. So I think maybe what we can say as, commissioners is that we like, as far as like our alignment with staff recommendation, I think it makes sense to approve the proposed preliminary plans and right-of-way plans for segments 1 and 2. I think that we're in alignment there on the item, authorize staff to advance preliminary plans for segments 1 and 2 to final design, right-of-way acquisition and bid phase. And I think that we're good with the sidewalk gaps in segment 3, like that we're in alignment on these items. And we don't have to say like we're against things, we're just not. We just can't recommend.
If you can't say something nice, don't say something at all.
We have already said, I think we've already said what we needed to say about segments 3 and 4. Segments 3, like segment 4 was our highest priority to do. Clearly, that's not working out right now. We had already considered Sharrows for 4. We didn't recommend that before, so I don't think our opinion has changed there. So our previous opinion on those segments remains. It's what we can.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the original vote that y'all had was recommending Sharrows because you wanted the project to move forward in an economical way with the intent that we could come back and figure out segment 4 in the future in a future project. But that we would do traffic calming and Sharrows as like a stopgap to like at least improve safety and reduce speeds and formalize the street a little bit. And then the mayor and commission said, well, we actually want y'all to fully explore that now. And so once we fully explored it, y'all said, this is the recommendation, which is separated bike lanes. They then said, well, we want that, except segment 4, we'll do a multi-use path. And so essentially now what staff is saying is like, as a stopgap measure to just kind of be able to close this project out in a way that is, you know, within the existing budget and not have to go out and get federal funding, which can complicate it by a lot, is to basically build out segments 1 and 2 as we have it designed, as was originally approved in the commission defined option. And then 3 and 4, we are working towards basically the concept will now be, because we don't have those plans, we're still going to be working on 3 and 4, but they will be for traffic calming, Sharrows, and, you know, temporary measure to, you know, temporary next 5 to 10 years measure to improve safety, make it a little easier to bike. It won't be bike infrastructure, but, you know, until we can get another project, get more funding, you know, identify new opportunities, that'll kind of, it doesn't end the project. It just kind of creates a safer space until we can do a future new phase.
If you find out that Georgia Power has to pay for the burying of the utility lines, would that save segments 3 and 4? Would that allow us to proceed with real infrastructure on 3 and 4?
I think that the issue is that just even moving the poles is only like $1.5 million, I think, for those segments. So we're still short by, I believe, $8 million. So no is my, because burying the utilities is not what we're planning on doing.
You bury it, you also change the type of cable. They cannot take an aerial cable and bury it.
Okay, yeah.
So the reality, and let me help you with this decision. Of course, you've expressed your priorities and that's great. Cost, whatever bid is the bid that we're gonna receive at the time of the bid. And whatever agreement we come down to with the Georgia Power Company for the relocation, it's gonna be what it is. Any money left over will go towards hopefully the priorities you set. So if this is a priority, if segment 3 and 4 is your priority, then this project would come back. You have the ability to make a vote to bring it back as a priority, because mayor and commission still have to approve those Sharrows because they're approving right now like project concept with no drawing. So I'm assuming it's gonna come back to them for preliminary engineering and contract award. It won't be done by simply staff. So there is an opportunity to speak on on that topic at that point. And to remind them of your priorities at that point. So yes, I hear you concern about cost and how much is it. Everything we're talking about today is still a cost estimate.
Yeah.
We would not know the exact cost until we get into the agreements with the Georgia Power Company, AT&T, who has also facility in the area, and then receive bids from the contractors.
Yeah, and it's very complicated how the cost estimate process goes, but they can look at, there's kind of your cost estimate of a project, then there is the kind of bid award amount, and then there's actual costs. And like, you're looking at projects that have finished construction in the last couple of years that were funded 10 years ago. You know, to see what that, and then you're having to do an escalation to see what that cost is actually gonna be by the time we're even ready to do that. And so you're kind of, there's a lot of moving parts and it's really complicated
And I wish I had all
Yeah.
the details today. I wasn't ready to talk about this project. And what I'm also aware of, property cost and right-of-way cost it is very high compared to other years. And with this project has a lot of right-of-way impact, not the last segment by Chase Street where we're doing most of the work in the existing right-of-way, but the other segment.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that there will be cost savings, but we also don't want to get to a contract and then we don't have money. Just want to make sure we have enough money and enough buffer.
Yeah, and I mean, our recommendation originally was to take from the street parking, which we already own, and have minimal property impacts.
Minimizing that will drastically reduce your cost.
Right, yeah, so that was what we had hoped to do. I don't remember what the CDO said, but
retain as much on street as possible.
is what the CDO said? Okay.
Yeah, we've been having to, and honestly, there's not a lot we can retain because it was kind of keep the character of the neighborhood intact, make safe facilities, and retain as much on street as possible, and also don't impact the canopy of the trees. So at the end of the day, we were able to retain like, I think 5 or 6 parking spaces along segment 4.
But that, yeah.
And like that is still, that's a pretty substantial cost for those 6 spaces.
Okay, so yeah,
If we had to build those. So.
right, thank you for that reminder, because yeah, there's some things that the commission decided to do that were not part of our recommendation. Okay, we were not asked to give a vote or anything here, right?
There's no like a request for a vote. I don't, at this point, it's like in SPLOST project management. Diana the project manager has said, you're welcome to vote and provide a recommendation if you like. It's not required.
What I want to do.
I mean, what y'all had started to say earlier, I wrote down a little bit, it's this, that the Athens and Metro Commission is in alignment with the staff recommendation regarding segments 1 and 2.
And the sidewalk cap.
The way that it's outlined in that agenda item is they are A, B, C, D, E, F. So you could basically say in alignment with staff recommendation for A,
C, E.
C, and yeah, I guess E. I mean, F is just kind of always there.
Mhm.
Execute any and all other project related documents.
Yeah, and that's been there. Maybe we will take a vote just to make it formal, to make that. Formal.
A, C, E, F.
A.
You have comments that you wanna say?
As I said, should we state, I mean, something as to why we do not approve the other two? It's gonna be silent on that?
It can be a strategic, go ahead.
Something as simple as we don't feel it meets
we could say we'll wait and see what staff comes up with in the concept.
We're still hoping for real infrastructure,
Yeah, but it truly improves
really
safety.
improves safety and perception of safety for vulnerable roadway users along Barber Street. From
Sections 3 and 4.
Do want to recommend that you review the agenda once it's presented by the SLOST office to elected officials and comment accordingly. I believe they're gonna list some facts and issues about why they chose staff. Why did we choose? When I say staff, I mean that I wish I'd made myself more familiar with this before I came to this meeting. Didn't know I'm gonna be the only one, or maybe the one with most information. But one of their rationale for those priorities was that prohibitive cost to accomplish what would be a truly safe street is outside of the budget. So what can we do?
yeah,
And that was their kind of, okay, well, let's do these. They're easy. Let's go ahead and do them because, this project was funded 5 years ago. Let's get it done. We'll come back and visit the others. But in the meantime, let's approve these two concepts to be done also quickly. But keep thinking about them, this is like Daniel said. So hopefully that is written and clear in the agenda and you can respond to it accordingly. Agenda setting, I believe, November 20.
But is it true that this on-street parking, so that's, if that was totally eliminated, then we wouldn't be having this discussion? Or
No,
or it's not that simple?
yeah.
that would save a lot of money. It wouldn't make up for the budget shortfall. Essentially, I think, what you're likely to see is in 6 months to a year, we come back to y'all and say, here's what the concept, here's what our preliminary engineering is for segments 3 and 4. And so the money at that point that will have been spent is all of the design money. So the options that I think exist are kind of do nothing on 3 and 4. And that saves the money there. And we just have our 60% plans that have been developed. Those go on the shelf. Or we could try to redesign it in a budget-friendly way that makes it safer, slower cars, safer for bikes to be on the roadway. Not designing sharrows as infrastructure, but traffic calming to make it more of a shared road experience. That being said, not gonna be able to traffic calm all the way down to 20 miles probably. So we can see what the plan is that they come up with. And then there can be another moment for recommendation there where you say, nah, still, we don't want to spend the $1 or $2 million that it'll cost to just do traffic calming. So there's still levels of approval. None of this is kind of set in stone, but between now and then, if y'all wanted to say, I don't know that, like realistically, I don't know what you could do on 3 and 4. There is nothing that we could do on 3 and 4 that creates infrastructure and stays within budget. So you could say, we don't want y'all to waste any more money on design here because we know that we're not going to want traffic calming and sharrows. So AIM supports going forth with 1 and 2 and then just putting 3 and 4 on hold. Or you could say, we're in favor with it. We're not in favor with the infrastructure. But I'm trying to think of other options.
And I think that staged approach, like stage 1 is what do you do now? Stage 2 is what do you do in the future? I think that's pretty much, from a budget standpoint, those same selections come into play for our capital improvement projects. If a project comes in way over budget, what do? We look at a way to reduce the scope and get it to still accomplish the goal and be able to do the work.
Yeah, maybe some sort of phrasing around staging where you're saying to not necessarily, I mean, there's
I think what we said here and then our last bullet point, if we're still hoping for real infrastructure, I think that's basically it.
okay.
Do you want to remove the word vehicle there? Because it's a little bit disparaging of.
I know, it's so, it's not, I know, and
Yeah.
having the word hoping in here is like,
Beneficial.
thank you,
Dedicated.
yeah, dedicated. If a beneficial, that was good. So we're still hoping for
Meaningful.
dedicated, meaningful,
Looking for.
You could ask for the phrasing to be.
Advocating.
we're still
There you go.
advocating.
Yeah.
No, I just
Yeah.
responded to what she said for advocating, because my concern would be the ADA community inclusion piece and that.
Right,
I'm not hearing it, but I would like to, I mean, as a community, being new here, in this city, that include, I would like to know where I fit in as part of the ADA community in that piece. Infrastructure being built to that resonates and speaks well, to that. I mean, I get bikes, cars, and everything else is gonna be there, but I feel safe if I'm not at that state now, but if in the event that I did have a wheelchair or something like that, where do I fit in that inclusionary piece? I mean, that needs to, because eventually there's homeowners there that are gonna have disability, things that can't help. It's gonna be someone young, a youth that may have to get to school, buses coming through there. I mean, you gotta, you've gotta include everything. I mean, we're getting that. I say go hard on what you need to do, but I say as far as a representative piece and an advocacy piece is to that part right there. That sticks out for me.
so, okay, I'm gonna have to move us on. 'Cause
Okay,
we
go
are-
ahead, because we don't have that much time.
And thank you, and I know we got this part of the agenda out a little bit early, because I wish you could have heard that side like at the beginning,
Yeah.
but but thank you for that. So this is, this segments 3 and 4, they are. Okay, here's what I want to do. I think I might forego some of this and maybe just go ahead and move into staff updates, because do we have,
I think
Todd?
Todd doesn't seem to be on.
Because we took so long.
We've got the crash report, but Ronnie, you got something?
Yes, on the work sessions, no work sessions are scheduled for these projects, no longer.
Yep.
There, there has been talks on ways to expedite project delivery and be respectful of everyone's time.
Yeah.
And therefore, it was decided that calendar 26 BMP did not need a work session. We're not changing the process. And the same thing with Jefferson River Road, we're not deviating from the concept. So we're providing enough information in the agenda. Right now, planned for November, December, but anything could change. Up to the manager.
December vote for Jefferson River Road.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but no work session for those two. And again, it's an effort by staff manager's office to accommodate the mayor and commission wish to expedite projects delivery and be respectful of everyone's time.
I haven't gotten a chance to send a formal request, but for the Cherokee Road, Riverbend Road, what order are those going to be delivered? And do you know?
They're both in right-of-way phases, and since we have right-of-way, our right-of-way coordinator has been sick and Therefore, we've asked for our on-call consultant to help us. We're picking up the right-of-way phases, and hopefully we can get those projects ready for bid in about 8 to 14 months. It all depends on which one we'll finish first. Cherokee has a lot of properties, so I would say Riverbend would be first.
So it's gonna be Jefferson River Road, then Riverbend, then,
In terms of construction,
Sure.
Riverbend, Cherokee, and then Jefferson.
oh, okay.
Riverbend.
But Jefferson's getting approved first.
Well, Jefferson is getting approved to go into right-of-way. The other two has been approved to go into right-of-way.
Okay,
And that's that agenda that will be done. Yes, no problem.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know.
Right of way consumes time like project costs consume money.
Yes. Yeah, I think maybe I briefly want to talk about plan revision, and then I just kind of want to, we're out of time. I think I want to forego any other updates until our next meeting.
well,
And I'm sorry about this, Katie, but I think, can we forego the crash of, I know unfortunately, we had a fatality this weekend, but that wouldn't show up either. Yeah, that's right, another pedestrian fatality. Yeah. So maybe we can kind of do a mega kind of end of year crash report in December. We'll have September, October, and maybe some in November or something in there. So yeah, sorry about that, Katie. Thanks for your flexibility. And thank you for getting those crash reports to me. So Katie has been sending them a week in advance. I've just been slow to attach them to our agenda. So that's on me. So thank you, Katie, for being on top of it. Yeah, plan revision.
yes, so, Athens in Motion, if you go to the plan website, public, the story map and survey are open. We extended that deadline to December 7th. So,
Roddy.
Thank you both.
so so far where we're at on plan revision is we have a past, effort that looked at all of the feedback received in the last 5 years from all of the various projects we have going on. We have that in a summary document for here's all of the public feedback regarding bike and pedestrian stuff. That is going through an internal review. It'll be a part of the final plan document. Yeah, if you go to the Athens in Motion webpage, that'll take you here. To the plan update, it talks about previous engagement, it talks about the network development and the final network. And then there's a link to the survey. So we ask that everybody goes through this story map before you fill out the survey. That would be awesome. There's a lot of context that we have already done that we're loving, that we really hope people can get informed on and then provide us feedback. That deadline is December 7th. So we will not have another meeting before that deadline. So share it with your networks, with your organizations, with your friends. I believe the communications committee could probably put a post out with QR codes. Reach out before you do. We might have language already set up for posts, social media posts. I think if you do, there's likely a post that already exists from ACC Gov's social media accounts. And they prefer that we share those posts instead of making our own. So that'll link to all the appropriate.
What's
You
the,
can just reach out to me or Katie and we will make sure we get all the links and help you with language. And I don't have it right here, but
so what you're saying is we're ready to share this story map with the public. We need to say the right things and share the right things.
well, just that it's already shared with the public through our website.
Okay,
Y'all also maybe noticed the last version had comment on the wiki map, and we also had provide a public comment to our Athens in Motion meetings. We felt that it was a little confusing. We went ahead and made an executive decision to, for now, while this public engagement is open, just have the one link for the survey on the webpage, and then we can put those back later. But there is still a way to provide public comment to the Athens in Motion Commission through the commission webpage, which is linked from that one. But ultimately, this is already shared with the public. Anybody can access this, and it's more like getting the word out that it exists. So, you know, to the followers of the Athens in Motion page, to organizations like ADA groups that might be interested in, you know, getting their feedback in there. What we're basically going to be getting into, what we're asking in the survey is essentially a lot of questions about how we will prioritize these projects. So we've determined the network development and the final network that staff are recommending. That's kind of just, here are all the projects that will be in this plan. And then the next step is to basically say, how are we going to prioritize this? And so there's a lot of different options, and there's basically scenario type questions of, would you prefer to fund things this way or this way? And there was a pop-up event at during Porch Fest. I think we had 25 people come and participate. There's opportunities for the communications committee to table on their own. I don't know if it'll have all of the same elements that they had there, but I had just gone through a surgery, so I wasn't able. I popped in the last hour to kind of see how it was, but I didn't really. Lauren was there for a longer period of time than I was, so.
Yes, so just want to thank our wife for coming out to table on Porch Fest. Yeah, and
I know we're skipping the transit thing, but just the sake of, because theirs is on a timeline, I want to actually share my screen so that this is visible. All right, this is the last, there are minor route changes going on right now. These are the upcoming in-person public engagement dates. 10th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 14th. You know, hopefully we can have them kind of go through and do this full presentation. They will do this presentation at those events. So this was just kind of going to be an early access thing. These QR codes will take you to both the proposed changes and the survey. And so these are some minor route realignments that kind of it saves time and efficiency, and they have a lot of context that they could provide, and this will be really great public info stuff. I won't dive too deep in because I would love to keep talking. It's really cool and interesting. I know that we're at our time, so.
and maybe we can potentially go into more detail in December about the changes.
Yeah.
We have public engagement.
Yeah, I would say if you're interested, definitely go to one of these. There's a virtual meeting option. And we can still have them present on it. I don't think it'll be finalized.
Where do you get these slides? Is there a link website to these?
I'm gonna assume that Transit has these on their website, but what we could try to do is send this out. This is a presentation we didn't get to go through, but I could see about sending it out as part of the agenda.
Great.
So. Yeah. The only other thing, my stickers. I went ahead and put some on. This one, we tried a few options. It works best on the side of the pole. The ones in front of Hendershots have the stickers on the bike racks. There's 4 bike racks that now have Athens in Motion on the side. It looks just like this basically, except it's black. These are the other stickers that we have. Either way, there's plenty for all the bike racks we have, and also to kind of cut them and use on or give out as
We can dress up our bikes.
yeah, if y'all want to have it as swag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's an intersection where I'm at, right there, Atlanta Highway, and I think that darn street where they're building the new gas station across the street from Arby's.
Yeah.
And pantry right there. So maybe I could slap a couple on those because of the ADA access that they have, which I love, press the buttons to signal the, people to be able to cross over. But those people are not friendly when it comes to pedestrians.
Yeah.
We're working with GDOT on some safety stuff coming soon.
So if you mind, I'll take a few and slap them on there.
I think we're mainly putting them on our.
Bike rack.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, there's people there with bikes though.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, people get on the bus with bikes, don't they?
Yeah.
They do, yeah. So if we end up giving the stickers out as like, as not merch, but as like giveaway things, and absolutely, that was kind of just something I wanted to ask y'all. Do y'all want these to only be used for the bike rack program, or are you down with like having them be part of the tabling?
For the bike rack program, and let's come back to that
Yeah.
Yeah.
next
All
time.
right.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I gotta
Stick
go.
with the original purpose.
We're gonna,
Yes, okay, I also just wanted to,
Can't close the.
Daniel did,
Not enough people.
so Daniel did a lot of it with staff, and I also wanted to make sure to thank Randy and Teresa for coming along with that, and Teresa braved Village Avenue, the crack inside. Right,
The crazy part.
It was
Yeah.
nail biting, let me
Yeah.
just.
so, and hopefully we'll do some more of those.
You just have to, just block your mind out.
Yeah.
Wish I could have joined you. I was.
I wanted
It was-
training wheels. I totally wanted training wheels.
You didn't need it. You were voted on.
All right, I'm sorry we went over. Thank you for the robust discussion, and we'll see you all back here December 9th. We've got homework to do, but with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Make that motion.
Okay, first from Randy, second.
Second.
Second
All
from
right.
all those in favor. Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Cool.
you.